Okay, so let's talk about the display tab in BYO booth. The first field that you see, this display background, this is going to be for your own, for the background image that's displayed throughout the slideshow. You can use the default file, which is contained within the C program files, Photo Booth Solutions, BYO booth, assets, and then backgrounds. And that's going to be this black and green image here. If you did want to supplement your own background, all you would need to do is design it in a 1920 by 1080 size for either landscape or a 1080 by 1920 for portrait. If your monitor is running at a smaller resolution, you'll still need to use the same size, that 1920 by 1080, but you'll want to center your content on the image to account for the edges not being shown at your smaller monitor resolution. If you do want to build your own and you've got that designed, all you have to do is click here on the display background field, and that's going to open up a window where you can select which file to load. So you don't have to have it in this folder, you can have it on your desktop, and you'll just need to navigate there. Display. So with the display, you have three options to kind of show off the photos that you're pulling. Slideshow, which is where the photos and the videos will cycle through. If you're using a touch screen or a monitor that users can interact with, they'll be able to swipe through the photos left and right, and also enter the grid mode by touching a single photo and touching the grid icon in the pop-up menu. And I'll show you that in just a few minutes. If printing and deleting are selected here, print from the slideshow and delete from the slideshow, they will also be able to print or delete from that pop-up window when you select an individual photo. If you set your display for grid mode, you will always be showing that grid option. It's going to be thumbnails, and then the user can select a single photo, or they can swipe up and down to view them all. When they select a photo, it'll enlarge that photo, and then they'll be shown that same pop-up menu that we were discussing before with the grid, print, and delete options. The search only option will set your display to search only mode, and photos will not show until a specific username is searched for. And it has to be the exact username, so anything that's misspelled is not going to pull. If we go back to slideshow, you'll see we get a couple of other options back. So our slideshow speed, and that's going to be how many seconds the photos stay on the screen, and the slideshow refresh, so how many photos to show before the slideshow is refreshed and the instruction screen is shown. We do recommend that to keep this at a somewhat low number. It also, in addition to refreshing and showing the instruction screen, it's also going to determine when new photos are added to the slideshow. So if you make it too long, the photos will still be downloaded, but they won't be added to the actual slideshow until a refresh occurs. Again, our delete and print from the slideshow are going to give you those options when a single photo is selected. Limiting the slideshow and the grid. So this one's kind of interesting. It allows you to limit the number of photos that are showing in your grid view. So it's only going to show the last number. Let's say if we set this here for 20, it's only going to show the last 20 photos that were downloaded in that grid. You cannot access photos that are over that. So that's great for if you're using something where it's a limited view or your computer's a little bit slower and you don't want them to be able to scroll 200 photos back. Show composited images is going to make the display, that slideshow display, show the photos as they're composited for printing, so on the background template. When this is unchecked, the photos are going to show with no template and will be the raw photos that we download from Instagram or Twitter. The display offset is going to be to shift the display away from the center. So you can shift it, if you say 200, it's going to shift it to the right 200 pixels. You can use negative 200. So with the display offset, you can also use the display overlay to kind of change how it's going to appear on your screen. So with the display overlay, you would have a 1920 by 1080 transparent PNG, and that's going to appear over your display screen. So you could have it essentially cover up most of the photos if you wanted to. This is going to be kind of used to create some depth and give you some more interesting layout options. So you can think of it more as creating a graphic with a window where the slideshow will show through. The instruction screens sections gives you the default, which is going to be your default instruction screen with the logos and the hashtag being monitored. So you can change the text that tag your photos, but it is going to appear on that default instruction screen. If you wanted to change the instruction screen, all you have to do is click onto the custom button and then select your image. And again, just like your background, this is going to be a 1920 by 1080 PNG image. So if it's portrait, you're going to do 1080 by 1920, and we do have kind of the quick reference size right there for you. Your other option on this screen is to enable the search. So what that's going to do is it's going to allow users to search for a username for a specific photo. So if they are looking for their photo, they can just select the little search button and then search for their individual photo. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and we're going to pop this open, and I'm going to show you the selection, the slideshow, the grid, the pop-up button, and then ideally the default screen, or the instruction screen in the search. Now here you can see the instruction screen, the tag your photos. We've got Instagram. If we had Twitter enabled, it would also show the Twitter icon there. And then we've got our hashtag, the wedding or my wedding. Now here we've got the slideshow, so we've got it set so that it's showing the composited images, so how it's going to print on the template. If we click on the individual photo, you can see we've got our print button and our delete button, which will allow the user, it'll go right to your default printer, or it'll delete the photo completely from the slideshow and the grid options. It will not delete from your files though. And then we can also hit the button and go to the gallery. So this is the gallery, or that grid mode, that you also have the option to show in your display settings. So you can see we've got the individual thumbnails, and then if we click on one, it's going to open it up and then give us that same option with the print and delete.